Today we'll recap a 2017 horror film named The Crucifixion, directed by Xavier Gens, written by Chad Hayes and Carrie W. Hayes. It is based on the 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐃 exorcism that took place in Vaslui County, Romania in 2005. Kindly remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. The film begins in Romania in 2004, with Father Dumitru and a group of nuns transporting a possessed girl, Sister Adelina, who is chained to a cross. They take her to a church and begin to exorcise her in a brutal manner, after which Adelina screams out loudly and the scene is cut. After that, we see a news report in which we learn that Adelina died during the exorcism, and that Father Dumitru and 5 nuns have been charged with her murder. Now, journalist Nicole Rollins is attempting to persuade her editor and Uncle Phil that she wants to examine this case, but he warns her not to let her own beliefs about faith or her mother's death influence her objectivity. Nicole then travels to meet Father Dumitru, and she begins questioning him in jail. Father Dumitru informs her that the devil was aware of their intentions, and as a result, he became extremely violent against Adelina, forcing them to crucify her. They then took her to the church to make her feel as near to God as possible. It took a while to figure out the name of the demon who was possessing her, but Agir's was finally revealed. Then he says that by the conclusion of the 3rd day, he noticed that the demon was beginning to give up. But suddenly Bishop 𝐀𝐋𝐖𝐀𝐃 comes there and orders them to stop the exorcism. Dumitru tries to persuade him that the demon has almost left her, but the bishop refuses to listen and instead asks to call an ambulance. The demon had now witnessed their conflict, and it had destroyed everything he had done up to that moment. He claims that if the bishop had not intervened, she would still be alive today. Nicole is ready to walk away when Father grabs her hand and tells her that God told him she is here to help. She then attends Adelina's funeral, where she notices a young girl crying at Adelina's casket. Now Nicole meets her and informs her that she is a journalist, to which the girl asks her to leave her alone. But Nicole tells her that she only wants to know how Father Dumitru could kill Adelina, to which she responds that they did not kill her, which Nicole finds shocking. She then returns to the monastery, where Adelina's body was kept. She is carefully watching her body when the candle there suddenly goes out. She then proceeds to the basement where she notices bloodstains, following which she comes to a chamber. She discovers blood streaks here as well and arrives at the cross where Adelina was crucified. She was photographing it when the bishop appeared out of nowhere, enraged, and told her to leave immediately. Later, she visits an old church and approaches Father Anton, the local priest, with the request to ask him some questions. Nicole learns about Sister Vajuva and Adelina's brother Stefan from Anton. She says that Sister Vajuva said that they didn't kill her, and asks if there is something going on here that the church doesn't want to talk about. Anton encourages her to meet with the bishop, as Father Dumitru's monasteries were under his supervision. She now goes to see the bishop the next day, and asks him why the church is not defending Father Dumitru's actions, to which he responds that Adelina was not possessed but rather mentally sick, and that Father Dumitru was a rogue priest who performed an excessive number of exorcisms. She then returns to the monastery and enters Adelina's room, which is absolutely disorganized. She discovers a box containing Adelina's photograph, stuffs it into her bag, and prepares to go when a boy emerges at the window, startling her and causing her to flee. Now after coming out, she sees the boy again who does the action of being crucifixed. Now in the night, she meets Anton again, where he tells her about the different stages of possession. The first stage is the presence, in which they find out who the demon is so that they can cast it out. Second is the breakpoint, in which there is complete panic, confusion accompanied by hallucinations, noises and odors. The next is called the clash, in which the exorcist directly battles with the demon, as it wants to stay in the victim as a resident or must return to hell. And the final stage is expulsion. The demon leaves in the name of Jesus because it's been identified. Nicole now wonders why the devil killed Adelina. He responds that it no longer requires her, and that it may transfer its evil to another person for another possession. He also claims that demons can be transferred by touching a possessed person's body or by possessing a weakened soul. The next day, she meets Sister Vajuva, who refuses to speak to her, but when Nicole shows her a photo of herself and Adelina, he says there is nothing she can do. Just then, Stefan arrives, and Nicole attempts to speak with him, but Stefan dismisses her and departs with Vajuva. Nicole asks them who killed Adelina if it wasn't Dumitru. To which Vajuva says that the demon performed this and spoke to her. In a flashback, Vajuva arrives in Adelina's room carrying meals for her. Adelina was humming something unusual, and then she saw that she was possessed. She grabbed her throat and lifted her into the air. The devil then orders her to leave as her room door opens on its own. After this, she puts her down, fearing that Vajuva runs away from there. Now Stefan tells that Adelina had been in Germany for the last year, working as a nanny for a family. Before she went there, she had a complete psychological exam and she passed that. Now a flashback is depicted in which Adelina returns from Germany. After that, they travel to monastery to meet Father Gabriel. But they notice that he is standing on top of the bell tower. He then jumps from there and dies in Adelina's arms. According to Vajuva, Father Gabriel was like their father, and Adelina was devastated when he died. Then there was the occasion when they were all about to go to mass and she refused to go in. Then things began to deteriorate. Adelina was crying in her chamber one day, and when she went to see her, she was possessed, and a spider came out of her nose. Nicole later sees Antonio again, and tells him about how she lost her faith after her terminally sick mother died, as a result of a decision to forgo medical care in favor of faith in God. Later, Anton warns her to be cautious since her hatred of God and lack of faith make her a vulnerable target. Now, on her way back to the hotel, she spots a boy in a mask, and when she gets there, we find that the lad in the mask has followed her, and it is the same boy she saw in the monastery. She inquires about him with the receptionist, who reveals his name is Tavian and that he is a nomad. She claims that he spoke to her, but the receptionist claims that this is impossible because he was born without a tongue. Now while sleeping in her bed at night, Nicole experiences a fantasy in which she is having sex with Father Anton. The door to her room then opens, waking her up, and when she goes to check, she notices Adelina there, which causes her to get terrified and close the door. And as soon as she turns around, Adelina is standing behind her. The next day, she goes to meet Tavian and sees him standing at the window, but she is attacked by a dog and discovers that Tavian has vanished. She is terrified by this and flees the scene. Now we see her again with Vajuva, where she reveals that Adelina fell in love with a man in Germany who led her away from the church. But the relationship ended unexpectedly. She came back here to ask for God's forgiveness, seemingly invited the devil instead. She then goes on to say that one night when they were sleeping in their room, Adelina began acting strangely, as if she was experiencing some sort of issue, and when she removed her blanket, she discovered a swarm of insects crawling over her private parts. She didn't know what to do when she saw this, so she and Sister Lena stocked the chamber with icons, crosses, and holy water jars. But then they notice that the devil has entirely possessed her, and she sits on the bed, frightened that both of them flees from there. Then they took her to see Dr. Funer, a psychologist, who informed her that Adelina had schizophrenia. Nicole asks her if she was a part of the exorcism. She responds that she was not a direct part of it, but she was present. The demon was making rain there, mocking their usage of holy water. Nicole is now sitting in the bathtub listening to the recordings, when the lights are suddenly turned off, which startles her greatly. When she emerges from the restroom, she notices a shadow behind the curtains, but when she removes it, there is no one there and the window closes abruptly. Then there's a knock at her door and the lights switch on as well. As she opens the door, Anton was waiting for her, having brought a bottle of wine as an apology for how he left things the night before. She welcomes him inside, and we witness them having sex. But then she sees Adelina and awakens from her sleep. She then notices a note on the table that says she fell asleep after only one glass of wine. Then she runs into Dr. Funer, who leads her to the ward where Adelina is being treated. She tells her that she used to believe they were all demons out to murder her. She then recalls Adelina's demonic vision during her diagnosis. Now, on her way back to the hotel, her car breaks down and refuses to start despite numerous attempts. Then she contacts Anton for assistance, and only then does she notice someone in the rearview mirror. But there is no one in the car, and then someone grabs her feet, scaring her into exiting the vehicle. She goes running inside the field. After going some distance, a scarecrow haunts her, fearing that she comes on the road where Anton has come to pick her up. Now Nicole was very scared of all this, so she decides to leave from there. Now on the way, she notices rays of sunlight, which her mother once said were signs from God, seemingly directing her to a cemetery. Nicole finds Father Gabriel's grave and learns he died on the same day as her mother. Connecting that the demon possessed Adelina after it killed Father Gabriel, she rushes to the monastery. There she checks Gabriel's records, which show that the last exorcism he did was of Tavian. She then meets Tavian's father, who tells her that Tavian actually retrieved Gabriel to exorcise him, as he was hearing voices telling him to kill Tavian. She then asks him if Father had got the name of the demon, to which he says that he does not remember anything. Then she notices Tavian and begins to approach him, only to discover that he had put Agar's name there. Then she phones Anton and informs him that demon Agar's was transmitted from Tavian's father to Father Gabriel, and then to Adelina following his death. Then, out of nowhere, the demon's voice comes from the phone, and the call gets disconnected. Now a demon attacks Nicole, and it begins to rain. Tavian and his dad attempt to open the door when Anton reaches there and breaks the door with an axe. He then finds Nicole hanging upside down in the air when he enters the house. Then Anton begins reciting the exorcism rites, and we notice that the demon is causing Nicole a great deal of discomfort. Anton advises Nicole to seek God's help and to have faith in order to defeat the demon. Tavian and his father then restrain her, and Anton performs an exorcism, pleading for Nicole to renew her faith. Then after some time, Nicole screams loudly, and the demon is ultimately expelled from her body. Now seeing this, Anton starts waking her, and then suddenly she gets up and we see the water droplets going back up. Nicole tells him that she saw her mother. She then returns to New York. End title cards reveal that Father Dimitru and the nuns were arrested and served 7 years in prison for Sister Adelina's murder, and that Father Dimitru resumed his exorcism service after his release from prison, and the film closes here. Thanks for watching.